Well, hey everybody, welcome back to Old School Math. We're about to start our new unit on matrices, and we're going to start off today by looking at adding and subtracting matrices, and we're going to do this by hand. At the end of this video, you'll be able to do the following two things. You will be able to identify elements in a matrix, and you will also be able to add and subtract matrices. Just a couple notes before we get into it. A matrix is just a rectangular array of numbers or other mathematical symbols or expressions that are arranged into rows and columns. The size of a matrix is always named by its number of rows by its number of columns. So in this example right here, we call this a 2 by 3 matrix. That is, it has 1, 2 rows and 1, 2, 3 columns. Each individual number or symbol or expression is called an element. We would name this 3 element 1, 1 because it's in the first row and the first column. We would call this 4 element 2, 1 because it's in the second row down, but still in the first column. And we would call this 1 out here element 2, 3 because it's in the second row and the third column. Now you can use matrices to do a lot of stuff. You can use them to represent systems of equations with many variables, which is what we're going to work up to in this unit. And they're effective and efficient ways in solving them, especially when solving them by hand might take you a really long time. In order to add matrices, they must have the exact same dimensions. You can add the corresponding elements in each matrix and put them in the same place in the new matrix. The new matrix will not change dimensions. Let's look at a couple examples together here. If you have your note-taking guide, these are on there as well. So in this first example, we've got the matrix with elements 2, 7, -4, and 1, and we're adding together 5, -4, 0, and -1. Now we all know how to add, so we don't need to grab a calculator for this or anything, but we're going to take the corresponding elements here, the 2 and the 5, and we're going to add those two together. When we add 2 and 5, that's going to make a new matrix over here with a 7 as our element 1, 1. You don't always see matrices with these brackets on them, but typically you'll see a bracket or a line, or you might just see an array with nothing on the outside, but I'll always put brackets around mine. We'll take the 7 and the -4, and we'll add them together. So 7 plus a -4 gives you +3. -4 plus 0 is still -4. And then 1 plus -1 gives you 0. We've got another example right here. Now this time we have a 2 by 3 matrix and a 2 by 3 matrix. Can we add those together? Sure we can. They're the same dimensions. So 5 plus -8 would give us -3. And we'll go ahead and draw our brackets. 4 plus 4 would give us 8. And 3 plus 1 would give us 4. 2 plus 2 gives us 4. 1 plus a -7 gives us -6. And last but not least, 0 plus 0, we know that's just 0. So we have added these two matrices together, and we created another matrix with the exact same dimensions there. Right? Let's take a look at example 3. In example 3, we have a 3 by 2 matrix and a 2 by 2 matrix. Now for addition and subtraction, we can't do this because the elements don't match up, right? We could think about, okay, the 2 and the 5 and the 6 and the -4 and the 1 and or -1 and the 0 and the 4 and the -1, but then there's nothing to match up with the 6 and the -7. Since there's nothing for those to match up with in this second matrix, we actually can't add them. It's not the thing where we can change this matrix and put zeros in. We just can't do it. So we'll just make a note here, we can't add these. Can't add those together. Now subtraction is going to work very similarly to addition. You're just going to subtract the corresponding elements in each matrix and put them in the same place in your new matrix. Thus, you're going to create a new matrix that is the exact same dimensions as both originals, but just the second matrix gets subtracted there. The only thing you want to do in subtraction that's a little bit different is paying close attention to your signs. So let's take a look at these three examples together. Example 1, we've got a 2 by 2 matrix and a 2 by 2 matrix, so we can subtract them. They're the exact same dimensions. That works well. Let's take the 7 and let's subtract 6. 7 minus 6 gives us 1. In the second element up here, 12 minus 2 gives us 10. We've got negative 1 minus negative 10. Now, minus a negative would be adding, so that's the same thing as negative 1 plus 10, which would give us positive 9. And then 5 minus negative 5, again, when we subtract the negative, we're actually adding those together. So it's 5 plus 5 would give us 10. In this second example, we're going to end up with a 2 by 3 matrix again. We've got a 2 by 3 matrix subtracted by another 2 by 3 matrix, so that works perfectly. So 4 minus a negative 8 is the same thing as 4 plus 8. That would give us 12. 4 minus 6 would give us a negative 2. And don't be shocked when you get a negative value. That's perfectly fine in math. 2 minus 9 would give us negative 7. Negative 2 minus a negative 3, again, a negative negative becomes positive. So 2 plus 3 gives us positive 1. 1 minus 7 would give us negative 6. And then 5 minus 0, that's still just 5. Take a look at this last one. Pause the video, try it on your own. Let's check it. So 0 minus 5 is, you got it, negative 5. Negative 2 minus negative 4 would be the same thing as 2 plus 4, which is positive 2. 7 minus 0 is still just 7, not taking anything away from it. And then negative 9 minus negative 1 is the same thing as negative 9 plus 1, which would be negative 8. How'd you do?